Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the RMTV Women's Podcast. This is episode 127, and today we are joined by Charlotte and Tamsin from Two Girls Talk Balls. Thank you very much for joining us today on this episode.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, hi.
So firstly, do you want to just introduce yourselves a little bit, explain what you do and what your podcast is and whatnot?
I mean, we originally started, didn't we, when it was the Women's World Cup. So we started off as Two Girls World Cup, which obviously some people liked the name. Some people thought that we were just insane for doing that. But it kind of stuck and people kind of liked it. And then I guess after like all of the madness of the World Cup and everything kind of taking off a little bit more, we decided that obviously we wanted to carry on and continue the WSL. And that's kind of our focus. I mean, we do have a little bit of, well, it's the Champions League football and internationals, but the focus is mainly the WSL. If something interesting is happening in the Championship, then obviously we pick that up as well. But yeah, it's mainly focused on the WSL. And basically, I am just bullied for hours and hours on end by Charlotte. Charlotte?
That is really unjust. That's what I shouldn't have let it go first. So yeah, I came into it shortly after Two Girls Talk Balls had started up because Tamsin used to previously record with a previous host. And she says she get bullied, but the content does write itself. If Kilmore keeps putting themselves in those situations, what are you meant to do about it? I mean, come on.
She's been bullied so much, she's moved to San Francisco.
Exactly.
I'm in search of hope. Like, what? Is it not like what is that really famous book or film called? Like, in search of. Do you know what I mean?
What, the end of your sentence?
Yeah, exactly. I'm just in search of Hope Powell. Hopefully it'll give me some... I keep looking over my shoulder like San Francisco. It's actually there, the Golden Gate Bridge. And it's not a dirty ironing board there.
And the irony is, I can tell you now, there's nowhere that Tamsin would hate more than the West Coast of America because she does not do heat well at all.
I mean, this hair in heat is just going to grow and grow. You know the episode of Friends where she has to have it braided?
Yeah.
So this is how our podcast goes, you see. So we start off, Tamsin's making good points about the WSL, and then Charlotte just brutally attacks me for the rest of it.
We'll say points. They're not always good. She makes points.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess the name came along by itself, didn't it? Two Girls Talk Balls. Just absolutely talking crap.
I think it's great. I love the name.
Yeah, I love it.
Creative, yeah.
Well, we got it was a bit of a weird one because at the end of like the World Cup, because obviously it was World Cup and then we swapped over to Talk Balls. There's like a radio show in Manchester. I don't know if you two have ever listened to it, but is it like two guys, whatever, it's called Talking Balls, isn't it? You've been on it a couple of times actually, haven't you, Charlotte? But then like there was a few people that came out and they were like absolutely raging at them on Twitter and they were like, get your own name. Like, oh no one, everyone's going to meet and solve the keys for a brawl outside BBC Radio Manchester. It was a bit mad really. You know, like in oh my god, my film reference is terrible. Is it Anchorman where they all come and they like have like a fight? Do you know the bit I mean?
Oh yeah, in the parking lot outside.
Yeah, and they're like, no one touched the face.
yeah. But they're all like cutting each other's arms off and that.
Yeah, exactly. It's ridiculous. So yeah, that's kind of what we've been up to. I think it's been really hard this year. You two have probably found it the same with not being able to go to games and like obviously with the WSL, with the accessibility and everything coming and obviously being on the FA player and being picked up, people are watching the same things as you. And so like to listen to something, people want that added edge, don't they? And like to bring something new to it. And sometimes and not being able to go to games has certainly been one of the challenges because you see things and you spot things or you talk to people, don't you? And you see something that's different. But I mean, it's been a great year, I think, regardless of that. Do you think?
Yeah.
Charlotte looks absolutely devastated. Maybe not for her.
Well, it's because I've already recorded once with you this week. So 2 Zooms in a week is, really pushing into the limits.
We don't get to see each other anymore. And obviously we've got a Two Girls Talk Balls baby that's on the way.
Yeah. But which is the other thing I should add. Is some people do often confuse us for a couple, which is much to our hilarity, isn't it? Because we do play along with it. So it's quite often if we get emails or DMs or something to do some stuff, and they quite often say, you and your friend Tamsin, or you and your friend Charlotte, or I'm not quite sure how you know it. And then just for a bit of fun, we'll go, yeah, and just play along with it, because why not?
Yes, so we got a lot of congratulations, didn't we, when you announced that you were pregnant?
Yeah, we did. Considering,
that's brilliant.
because Tamsin did, take some of the honour when I did announce it, didn't you? Keeps telling me she's going to be a co-parent.
Oh yeah.
It takes a village to raise a child, Charlotte. I keep telling you this.
God help us.
You wouldn't want this to raise your child.
I don't know if I'm having a boy or a girl, you see, but ever so now and again, she just keeps throwing her name into the hat.
Oh
Yeah.
That's
So,
what we call that, plant the seed early.
Exactly. Look, Amy and Lauren might be like throwing their name in as well by the end of it.
Oh, 100%.
I mean,
it's a boy's name.
There you go.
We can adapt each name to be a little bit more boyish. Absolutely no problem.
it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. It can be spelled differently. It's all right.
Well, this is why Tamsin throws her middle name in Jean, because she's like, well, it could be like, well, I'm not letting that get out. No way am I letting that get cut out. So she's like, well, it's simple for a boy or a girl, because it could be French. Surname's French, Jean.
Yeah.
So
Billie Jean.
There you go.
Daddy's actually called Billy as well.
Yeah. But so we've been going now for 70 episodes, but we're both desperate to get back to games. It'll make such a difference because we went to quite a few and it made such a difference of what we could chat about when we'd see them afterwards, because Tam is right, there's things that you just don't pick up from streams and watching it on TV and stuff like that, especially like the touchline banter or all that type of thing. It's just not the same.
I think it's like socializing as well, isn't it? Like seeing other people that do the same thing as you at games and stuff like that. I think it's dead quiet as well. It's just so strange.
I think the thing, like, especially around women's football as well, isn't it? It's like, it's about that unity and that community and everything that comes with it. And so you do kind of get these quite close-knit groups, like obviously I'm a Man United fan, but when I go to City, because I go there quite a lot, like there's a camaraderie, I think, that is very different, and I think that is definitely one of the holes that I felt of not being able to go there, for a year or so. So and also I feel like totally robbed as well this year of like, like you've had like Barcelona playing like 5 minutes from my house at the the City campus, and all of these players like Alex Morgan, who's now like come and gone essentially, hasn't she? And like, and obviously a worry for me, probably less so for everybody else, but if like, Tobin Heath and Kristen Press don't sign an extension, I'll be like, well, thanks for that. That was great.
Lauren will be gutted as well, don't you worry. Lauren will be gutted.
I seen them when we played them in the cup, so I'm sound like I'm so.
Oh, I'm glad you are, look.
Yeah, it's all about you, Lauren.
I mean, if you want to stay, that's fine as well. But
I got spammed with things that day she went, and I couldn't go.
I just kept sending her pictures. I was like, it's Tobin Heath.
I was like, great, thanks. Yeah, thanks. I'm at home on the sofa. Brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah, but we've found the same this season. Like, we've really struggled, especially because not all the championship games are on the FA Player, and we've managed to go to every home game this season so far. But all the away ones, if they're not streamed, we've got absolutely no idea what goes on. You're just relying on like Twitter updates from like Liverpool's like main channel, and even then, like, they aren't like very descriptive either. So you kind of we come into the podcast like a week later, having seen like 3-minute highlights of a game.
What happened? Literally no idea what happened.
Yeah, like we think, what the hell's going on here? So
and they're not reflective of the game, even when we have a real bugbear with the women's football show, don't we? Because we watch, between us, or normally both of us watch most of the games over Saturday and Sunday, so the full games. And the highlights just are disingenuous to the games that you see. They literally pretty much have the goals. And I think one thing that we'd like to see, and we've picked up from when the new TV deal comes in, is better pre and post match coverage, because you need a bit more, you need it to be bookended better and to show us a better product. It's fine just showing the goals, but you could see that on Twitter in 5 seconds from the Twitter account, so from the league Twitter account. So you kind of want to get a better feel for what's gone on that game if you haven't been able to go, because half an hour to cover 6 games, which is what we end up with. Normally, some of the games get 30 seconds at the end. It just isn't enough to make it. I don't think it shows the product in the best light either. I don't think it shows the games, like some of the stuff that we see and some of the the good football that's missed out, even if you get a 0-0, that type of thing.
Yeah, totally. We said about that as well, like you said, like bookending it as well, and getting obviously the pundits on and giving it more of like, like a match of the day and all that kind of feel, because like you said, that is the product, isn't it, essentially, that you're trying to sell. And I mean, how it was like that whole thing, I think it was really obvious during the World Cup when it was like, well, so much, I think like someone just kind of talked about ratios and said that generally when you watch football, 60% of football is just totally mediocre. Like 20% of it is totally shit. 20% of it is absolutely exceptional. And generally like the middle bit it is. And like how many 0-0 or 1-1s have we sat through in men's football or whatever? And it still gets the push, doesn't it? And the shine and everything. And I think that's definitely one thing that they need to do next year with the TV deal and everything. I think it will make a massive difference. But like I know you wanted to talk about Leicester, and we talked about Leicester, didn't we, and how like bringing in Emil Heskey and stuff. And I think because that was right at the beginning of this season, right?
Yeah, so we were
getting
really
now because I don't know what year it is even anymore.
I don't know what day it is anymore, to be honest.
Yeah,
we were we were talking about male allies in the game at the beginning of the season on one of our episodes. He was one of the ones that we picked up because he's been, before he's even been involved with Leicester in the role that he's in now, he's been a really good vocal male ally for the game, and similar to how Ian Wright is, that type of thing. So it was, we both wanted Leicester to do well for that reason, because it feels like they've really thrown everything at it and thought we're going to strongly invest in it and give it a good go and not treat our women's team as kind of a second standard team. They're going to give it the best chance of a success. So for me, I think on that basis, setting aside the performances as well, because they've been promoted at a canter, really. They've still got 2 games left and they've got a massive points difference above Durham, who were second. But yeah, they're just, for me, they deserve to go up for all that investment. And I mean, it was when they were signing people like Remy Allen at the beginning of the season, that's a mark of not messing about at all. And that's what you want to see, certainly in the Championship, because you want to make that second league competitive as well.
Yeah, because it hasn't always been, has it? Like, I mean, we can, we obviously want it to do well, but it's, apart from like Liverpool when they went down and some of the other teams that have kind of always been in the mix there, like even like Lewis, like they do a lot for the game, don't they? And they're really like equality focused. But I remember when we spoke to Maggie Murphy about it, and she was like, look, if we don't get the funding like some of these teams have got, it won't ever matter, how much equality they can bring to it, because they're just not going to have actually, the finances to be able to drive it forwards. So yeah, I mean, it's good for Leicester. I remember seeing a game, God, I don't even know when it was. It must have been, they must have played City in the like in one of the cups, and they were absolutely demolished. They were demolished. It was a really high scoreline. So it'll be good to see what how they stand up, I think, to the other teams that are kind of in there or have come up recently, for example.
That's the worry, though, isn't it? Like bridging that gap. I think that's definitely something that I mean, most of the Championship teams need to sort of really think about. I think you see it every time, though, when like a team gets promoted, half of the people aren't exactly the team that are going to be playing in that top league anyways, which is kind of sad most of the time. But the worry is that as soon as like a team goes up, they come straight back down again. And I feel like there definitely needs to be some sort of bridge between the top tier, even from a Liverpool perspective. Like, we know we haven't been good enough this season, and there obviously is a risk that if we would have been promoted, that we could have come back straight back down again. And that's obviously a team of that size as well, which is quite obviously difficult to take. But I guess it is sort of about now, like bridging that gap and hoping that, like how it is in the men's, like when teams go up, Leeds, for example, this season in the men's league, like they've actually stood their ground really well. So you kind of hope that in a few seasons to come, that's how the balance will sort of be for the women's WSL and then the Championship as well. I don't know if you guys agree.
I think the TV deal might do, though. That should help with the spread of money, because it's the money that makes the difference between those teams. I mean, you have some teams like Villa who did invest massively in their squad when they got promoted. And like you were saying, half the team that got promoted doesn't really feature that much now, the individuals that they had there, because they brought in so many new players. But like, I think obviously Tam will pick up on this just now, but I do think that is something that will naturally happen in the game as the league spreads out, because there's only 12 teams at the minute in WSL, and there's certainly loads of talent in the Championship. So the leagues both given that they're both going to get a portion of this money that's coming in, should hopefully improve.
I think so. Do you know what still worries me though? I think actually Manchester United and Liverpool are two really good examples of it, because you have two like absolutely massive names, and like, for example, as much as I don't particularly want to talk about it, because it's been quite heartbreaking over the past few weeks, you see, like you talked about it, Shah, like that those players that won Manchester United, you know, the promotion to the WSL, and those second string players, as we would see now, like if you look at a Chelsea bench, for example, no other team, a Chelsea bench would beat anybody else in the WSL. Do you know what I mean? So even like a team like Manchester United, that it's kind of started to fall apart as the season's gone along. And then you've got like Liverpool, for example. Like, I mean, there was all the funding issues and things like that, when they, and the kind of like the inequalities that were there. And you had a manager like, it was Vicky Jepsen, wasn't she? And she was absolutely mint. Like, we loved her. And you know, I never wanted Liverpool to go down in the first place, actually, because it worries me. And now, like, looking at what's happening with Birmingham, these teams that have been around for so long, that have been so important to the progress of the game, and it can just slide away, and it feels very, what's the word? Like, it's very transient, isn't it? But also not. You've still got like those teams like City and Chelsea and Arsenal that have this stranglehold on it. And that's what worries me. I'm not sure that if the funding will actually filter down into the places where it should do all the time, or enough of it to make a significant difference.
Yeah, that's probably where some clubs do need to step up themselves, because some clubs have got to take the responsibility, because, I mean, Liverpool's situation's been well documented, the fact that they've got that massive training facility yet can't squeeze the women in just yet. And I know people are saying, well, they're still under contract at Tranmere and all things like that, and that ends at the end of this season. So it'll be interesting to see what they do there, because it's okay for the owners to come out and say, yeah, we're also looking at NWSL making teams over there, but they're not even funding the basics really at home. And that's probably been, certainly in my view, why Liverpool have struggled. The off-field stuff's really impacted them on field this season. The loss of Vicky Jepsen, I think, was a bit difficult to understand from an outsider's perspective, when there's no replacement there to come in, and still no replacement. So there's no clear structure of what's going on. And then you couple that with what's gone on with Babajide, who is clearly unhappy. It's just a recipe for disaster. If that's going on when you've got no fixed manager, and you've got probably your best player isn't wanting to be involved, or is being brought back into the fold, and it doesn't quite happen because games were cancelled at the time, it's going to make for a difficult season, and that's going to mean that you're not going to reach your goals, because nobody's pulling in the same direction.
What do you two see similarities between Liverpool and Birmingham, like the state of what's going on, or, you know, like the background stuff is what I mean, rather than like the desire is obviously was always there from the manager and was always there from the players, but like they're hindered, aren't they, by things completely beyond control, and often things that are in the background. And obviously probably you two know a lot more about it, but are there comparisons between the situations?
I think when Jepsen left, it was kind of, I felt really, really sorry for the players and for the squad, because you could see that they were all, you know, Amy made the point a couple of days ago when we spoke to someone, and it was like a few of our players that left in the summer, or, you know, some of them are still here, came in under Neil Redfern. He then left after one game. Chris Kirkland was then in charge. He was only there for a couple of weeks. Then Vicky Jepsen took over, and you finally sort of felt like you were in like a stable place, even though we were relegated. And then all of a sudden, another manager goes. Amber Whiteley comes in, who's done a decent job for us over the couple of games that she's been here, but I kind of felt really sorry for them, because it's been like a very chop and change couple of seasons for us, and then for another manager to go, and players not really aware of it, or maybe don't understand why themselves. But a lot of them players did have a really, really good relationship with Vicky Jepsen, so that would have been really tough. And you could see it, you know, after she left a couple of games initially. You know, I can't remember which game it was now, but I think it might have been Leicester at home, actually. I think we beat us at home.
Yeah, it was just before the Leicester one. I think she left, didn't she?
Yeah,
I think Leicester was the first game we had with Amber in charge.
Yeah, I think she left after Durham.
Yeah.
And we got beaten, I think, and Niamh Fahy did the post-match, and she could just see all over her face how gutted she was, because you knew that was our chances of promotion gone.
Yeah.
But then, because of such a difficult few weeks, like we'd had a big game postponed as well, so that was like our first game back, and Jepson had been gone for a while. So I just almost felt really sorry for them, and you can kind of see the similarities with like the Birmingham situation at the minute. I think, you know, we're lucky that we do have like a good facility at Tranmere. The stadium's really nice. The pitch has obviously improved a lot. The training facilities are decent as well. So I think maybe that's just where we're a little bit different, in that we do have like a decent training ground and whatnot. But then, yeah, like you pointed out before, the whole Kirby situation just doesn't sit right with me at all. You know, I drove past it for the first time the other day, and it is absolutely massive. And they're saying to us, "Oh no, there's no place for a women's side," and it doesn't look like there is. And even if the contract with Tranmere is up this season, they can say now, "Oh yeah, for next season onwards, they're going to move into there." Like, surely that's not hard to say, but it's
that's the thing. They're so secretive about it. That's the issue. Like, if they come out and say, even if they're as blunt as they come out and say no, it's not happening, at least like then we know it's not happening, rather than
it's the hope that kills you. It's always a hope that kills you.
Like, it's super strange. That there's obviously got to be some sort of reason behind it. Whatever that reason is, I don't know, and I can't actually think of any why you wouldn't, because it's obviously such a massive thing, as I said. But it for me, it's more like, okay, yeah, right, we know we're not going there, but like, why? Just say, you know what I mean? Let us know, and then at least we know, rather than just being like, oh, like we're sort of attributing it to a lack of care. Well, that might kind of be part of it, but then there also might be something that adds to it. But it's more like just being open with like the fans, obviously probably even the players as well, just making us all understand like why this is sort of happening. So it's,
and what the plan is. That's what you want to know, what the plan is. If you want to get the club back into the WSL, there's got to be a plan, and the plan's got to be, right, this person's going to be our manager. We're now going to hopefully retain X amount of people that we can try and retain, because last season they did really well retaining players like Rachel Furness, and I'm not sure that'll happen again this year, with not having a manager in place, not being clear where people are going to train. That's what it hampers you doing all your preparations. And now Liverpool haven't succeeded in their aim of getting up. So then it's got to be about what's happening for next season. That's got to happen quickly, because other teams will act fast now that they don't know they're going up. So
the proof will be in the pudding, won't it? Like, I think a lot's going to be said on who they bring in, and that's probably going to show.
Maybe you'll end up with Matt Beard.
I knew that you were going to say that.
Have you seen someone?
Can have him back.
Matt Beard was being touted for Arsenal at the end of the season. I was like, he must be mad.
We'll take Joe Monte, however you pronounce his name.
Montemuro.
We'll take him. Go on, lads. Yeah, go on.
I mean, I've got a bit of an obsession with Matt Beard, you see, at the moment. Like, I've got this real love-hate relationship with him, because I kind of hate West Ham at the moment, and I've somehow become like an honorary Bristol fan. I'm an honorary Robin at the moment. I don't know why. I'm not sure where this obsession's come from, but I've said that if he manages to keep Bristol up, that I'm having a Bristol shirt with Matt Beard on the back.
Saying Matt's my beard.
Matt's my beard, yeah. I mean, that really worries me and scares me to my very core.
As soon as you said it, I got online. I said, right, I'm sourcing one of these. Ready. I'm not letting this slide.
Custom made. That's amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
I really hope this happens now, because that's content, that.
Well, I've still got my forfeit of last year to go for him, because I lost some bet. I'm losing quite a lot, but I had to wear a City shirt to whichever game we went to.
First game we go to together.
I was hoping that Charlotte forgets. I'm hoping that when she's got baby brain, that she'll actually forget about it next year.
Well, now you've told us, we ain't gonna let you forget about it.
We're not gonna forget now.
I'm so glad that we didn't put a bet on any promotion. Otherwise, I think we'd have been in trouble about having to do a forfeit for it.
We like a little daft bet, don't we, against each other?
Yeah, so we have, I don't know if you've seen it, but we have like a boost from a boot. So we pick who's going to be the top scorer or whatever. And I've got Sam Kerr this year, which is apparently she was on a sabbatical for the first half and just taking it easy and just chilling out. And Charlotte's got Viv. So
and there's irony, because last year I had Sam Kerr, didn't I? We did it from the January last year because I joined the pod in the November.
Yeah.
And she couldn't hit a barn door.
We're on neck and neck, aren't we? Are we on 17 for 17?
17 for 17.
So we're like bang on, and whoever loses obviously has to drink a pint out of the dirty football boot of the other person.
Oh God!
Yeah,
that sounds
COVID safe.
Yeah.
Is it COVID safe?
Absolutely COVID safe.
To be honest, I think COVID is the least of your worries if it's out of my boots. I mean, the boots that I made Charlotte drink it out of last year, they're Predators from when I was 14. So like 15 years old, there's like a gappy bit. There's still some sand in there. Like it's a bit gritty, you know.
Oh,
but you did let me choose which one.
Got a bit of something to it then.
Oh yeah, you can feel like the grit in it when you're drinking it.
Oh,
they're not pleasant.
I feel like we need to start doing stuff like that. We need to.
I'm not drinking out of your football boots. Absolutely not.
I still got mud on them for like 3 years ago.
That's what I was like. Yeah.
Mine haven't been used since I was like 16, so
let's not do that then.
I just wait till it's bad weather and take mine out now for a little walk. Now and again.
What are you doing? You're gonna bring them around. I actually managed to play football on Sunday, which was just glorious. Yeah. And Charlotte came down, which was good. So I might give them a little stomp as well, just in case you lose.
They were all right, those ones though. On Sunday, I'd easily have them, and they're your good ones. You won't want booze out of them. Your sock will never be the same again on those.
God. No, let's not start doing that, Amy. I don't
Lauren, I think you should. I support you in this endeavour.
Yeah, it really spices things up for you.
Maybe you two have to decide what we have to.
Yes.
Yeah. Or we should do like a cross forfeit type thing, like us against you two or something like that.
Oh my God, I love that.
Yeah,
I love
we'll
that.
But Amy, we're gonna lose because we're terrible.
No, we're not. Lauren,
how many games are left?
Only 2.
Let's start next season. I can't commit this season. Everything's going wrong.
How many games have Liverpool got left?
I think we've got 4.
They've got 4.
We've got that cup game against Leicester as well. So.
Yeah.
All right. So if Liverpool lose.
Which they're going to.
No, I was thinking we could do one that would be nicer, like, you know, if Liverpool score X amount of goals, or if, you know, Bristol score.
If Neil scores a hat-trick.
Yeah.
She nearly did the other week, so it's not out the question.
I'm hoping.
Lauren, do you want to risk it all for drinking out of a
You sound nervous, Lauren. You're really not putting Amy's all for this. You sound really nervous.
I mean, we've been in lockdown for a year. I need some excitement.
All right, you two have to do one of your recordings in a Man United shirt. What about that? Is that a good forfeit?
Yeah, it is. That's the one. That's the one. I knew it was going to be a shirt one when you picked Tam.
I'm not even going to be able to source one of them on Liverpool, so it's not even going to happen.
I will personally deliver it. The lockdown has been lifted past me.
Sorry, you're not in me 6. You're not in me 6.
That's a good way to get around it. Love that.
No.
After the 21st of June, Tam, 22nd of June, when we go around, drop it off.
I'll be there.
See me again.
Lauren,
we stop the podcast. We just have to stop the podcast, so we never record another episode.
That's what you'll see, Lauren, on the 21st of June. Just me. Hello.
At my door, like.
Got a little something
I haven't even given you my address. You're just there.
And turning up with her Matt's My Beard top on as well.
Oh God,
that's incredible. The scenes of that. I'll be filming behind the scenes of that. That'd be hilarious.
No.
She looks really happy about it.
Yeah, she does. Looks nervous.
I'm not that weird, I promise.
Lauren, she's actually at your house now. She's not in San Francisco.
This was just a decoy. This was just a decoy, yeah. And even he'll just stare at her.
Oh my God.
Oh God.
That was so scary.
Right. No, I mean, I'm all for the bets and the forfeits and whatnot, but that's just a step too far. Man United shirt, that's just a no.
Let's definitely do something for next season. Starting fresh
Let's
from
do
the
that.
beginning. We'll plan it.
I think that'd be really good.
Yeah.
Will Liverpool get promoted? Who knows?
Let me see where they're training first.
It's just like on a field. It's just like at the local park. Just like
potentially, yeah.
No, but like when do you remember when Kira Walsh put up that she was training at Hough End, which is where we play, like is our home ground, just like this random horrible pitch in Manchester, and she was there with Lucy Bronze just training, and I was like, this is insane. You've got like the best footballer in the world, or one of arguably, just kicking about.
Is definitely.
Yeah. So I said to Becky, I said to my girlfriend, I didn't give her any context, which I didn't realise. I went, get in the car. Come on, get in the car. So she did. She just got in the car.
You just voice noted me, didn't you? And you said, we're on the way down. I said, you sound like a psychopath. Going to chase footballers around Manchester.
Yeah, but we got halfway there and Becky looked at me and she went, where are we going? I just forgot to tell her.
Questions. That's hilarious.
That was like me the other week, Amy, when Chelsea were playing Everton. And Sam Kerr just put on her Instagram that she was in the Albert Dock, and I was like, Amy, Sam Kerr at the Albert Dock.
I had 16 messages. I gotta go. I've just got to go. She didn't go.
I didn't go. I couldn't get there, but it was like, yeah, I can relate to that. But OG members of the podcast will remember when Amy had a really big obsession with Lucy Bronze. There used to be a whole minute of the podcast dedicated just to Lucy Bronze. And
I made an intro and everything. It was to the countdown music. She
does draw obsessives. She's one of those. It's like the Tobin Heath, Kristen Press kind of brigade, isn't it? There's like a Lucy Bronze one.
Well, it's interesting because, like, to be honest, because I've been so wrapped up in Liverpool and like the Championship this season, half the time I don't even know what's going on in the WSL. I haven't got a clue. I just see results and I'm like, oh right, okay, and then I check the table and think, right, what's going on here? But it seems to be Man City and Chelsea are really battling it for the top spot at the minute.
Yeah. It was a free for a while, wasn't it? And I feel like those top two kind of pulled away a little bit.
Yeah,
totally. I mean, there was a very. I mean, I'm sure Christian will dig into our archives, our TGTV archives, at some point when I thought for a while that United was sitting, quite pretty at the top of that table, and I was like, oh, dare to dream, is it going to happen? I genuinely did. So the last couple of weeks have been very painful. I did genuinely actually think we were going to get Champions League. I thought we could do.
I did.
Get top three, and then obviously it's just. We talked about this a lot. I think the difference is that it's the mentality, isn't it, for me? Like those teams that have been in there for such a long time, like Arsenal, like City, like Chelsea, they just have there's a mental resilience that comes with the game as well. And that inexperience, I think, has cost United as well. And they've just not been able to hold on to the games that they should have done. I am glad that it's so tight at the top, though, between Chelsea and City, because you don't want someone to run away with it, especially like Charlotte. Obviously, you're neutral, aren't you? Because you're just a sad little Borough fan, aren't you?
Well, yeah, exactly. But it's not served me well so far. I don't have any of this heartbreak on a Sunday. I just have it on a Saturday. But
nice.
So, and it makes a nice twist because I can get really. Well, I just want to see good games when I watch the WSL because I've got no vested interest, where it ruins Tam's weekend. So I'm always quite chipper when we go and do the pod, where sometimes she's in a rancid mood if United haven't turned up. So it has that quite nice balance to it. But for me, I would much rather see competitive leagues. And for all that City and Chelsea are close together points wise, I do think there's a marked difference between them and the way that Chelsea get the job done and the way that City get the job done, because Chelsea just railroad teams and you can't really see them making mistakes, where City, just to say, got past Reading, which was a phenomenal result and they did really well for that. But I can't help thinking if that was Chelsea's game, we would have maybe seen a 3 or 4-0 or something like that. They just don't really leave anything to chance. Like the Villa game, they won the...
You see Emma Hayes just absolutely kicking off. Emma Hayes is one of our most favourite people of all time. She's just insane. Like, and she's just wonderful. And she's like, just an enchantress of the WSL. Like, we just don't know what she's going to do next. And like, there was which game was it the other day, Shah? Anyway, Chelsea had gone on to win it, but she went absolutely ballistic, didn't she, at half time?
She
and
was
just
livid.
Like, she was fuming. She was absolutely fuming. And
we could definitely be at Emma Hayes' fan channel at some point.
Yeah.
It's gone that far.
Yeah, same.
Right.
When we had Nancy on from She's a Baller a few weeks ago, I think we spent majority of the 40-minute podcast just talking about Emma Hayes.
How good would she be as like a football mum though? Incredible.
Yeah, she's just amazing, but she's so clever as well, and and intuitive, and I think everything is underpinned by, I mean, someone put it on Twitter, didn't they, last week, where they'd highlighted what she was saying when it was Chelsea against Wolfsburg, and you just that's, I guess, the one good thing about fans not being able to be in there, that you can actually hear the coaches and the things that she's saying. And sometimes I think people get into this kind of mentality that things happen in chance by football, which of course they do. There's always an element of it, isn't there, of chance and coincidence and all this kind of thing, but so much of it is orchestrated by her tactical ability and what she's trained into her players. And also, like, you know, like we were saying about Sam Kerr and it taking a long time for her to come to fruition, I think you trust Emma Hayes, so you trust that. And obviously look at what she's doing now, you know, the hat-tricks, everything else. It's going to mean Charlotte's going to have to drink from a dirty boot. I'm absolutely over the moon about it. Like, yes. Yes, Emma Hayes and Sam Kerr. Can
you film that, by the way, so we can all see? That would be really...
Oh, it's always filmed.
Oh, we do film it. Yeah, we film it.
Filmed.
Brilliant.
But for me, I think Chelsea are going to do it, and I really desperately want them to win the Champions League. Like, I am absolutely praying that they do it, because it's never been done before, and I just think it would be incredible. And really, I think she deserves it as well for everything that she's put into the game and for everything that she's done at Chelsea. And
she really wants that one as well, doesn't she? That's the one that she really now wants.
Oh, she really wants it.
You could tell that, because she never really celebrates a victory, does she? Not massively. But after the Wolfsburg game, when you were watching that, she allowed herself a bit of time to celebrate. I mean, the performance was unbelievable. And she, as Tam pointed out, she was such a massive influence from the sideline, helping her players out, making them stay on track with the tactics that she'd wanted them to play with. But it's the one that's eluding it. It is the one that she really wants. I think they'll do the league, but I think if you give her the choice, she'd rather win the Champions League. And
I know, but I don't want City to win. Do you know what? Right, I actually, even as a United fan, Shah, you'll back me up on this. I actually really like City because I just respect everything that they've done. Yeah. But I just really can't get on board with Gareth Taylor. Like, I find him irksome. Just find him.
That's a nice word.
I find him very irksome. Like, I look at him and I think, like, and I can't. You
can't warm to him, can you?
I can't warm to him, Charlotte. I find him a bit smarmy.
What did you guys think of the obviously the City Barcelona result? Were you sort of expecting that, or were you kind of expecting?
Oh, it should have been worse. City were lucky. They were absolutely that first leg could have been a bloodbath.
I think we was on a video with, I think we were with Emma the week before. We were like, see, you got this. We were like, they're going to actually...
Oh, no. No, it was the day of, Amy. It was the day of the first leg when we put the podcast out, and it was like, we were like, yes, we think City will be...
Should have clipped it up.
We both backed Barcelona to win. So what we did in our podcast, we did a little bit of the overview of how the team's form were, and Barcelona's statistics before going into that game. They were vile. There was no way City were getting through that tie. Not a chance.
Haven't they scored like 95 goals so far in the season, something before that game?
It was scary. It was absolutely scary. Like, the capability. And sometimes I think because you're so focused on either like the Championship for you guys or the WSL, you forget actually how good these teams are. You know, like when you see them. And I said in our podcast this week, I said it's kind of a little bit of a blessing in disguise, I think, for United to not get top three, because you know what I mean?
They'd be massacred against
if that Barcelona turned up at Lee Sports Village, you'd be carrying them out on a stretcher.
They would be absolutely ruined. They would. They'd never recover from it. It would be career ending for some of them, because that Barcelona side is incredible. They're probably the second only because we've got a vested interest in Chelsea, we really want them to do it. But if you have to set Chelsea aside, then Barcelona, their team within those group of teams still left that are they're phenomenal. They play, even when they were 0-0 in the first leg, they were just levels above what City were doing. And as soon as they decided to ramp it up, that was it, game over.
Yeah.
Do you think Barcelona beat Leon then? Do you reckon if they go up against each other?
Say that again, Amy.
Leon, Barcelona, who comes out on top of that one?
Chelsea.
I think
Amazing.
Leon are not playing like the Leon of old at the minute. So on paper, it's got to be Barcelona. The only thing is, historically, Leon have always got the better of Barcelona. You wonder whether that'll get at them. But if the game goes the way you think it should, then Barcelona should get through that and make their way to the final. I think a Barcelona-Chelsea final would be an absolute joy to behold.
Imagine! It's just a shame fans can't go, isn't it?
We need to get in there. We should. Right, we'll lend you one of our flasher Macs, and then we'll keep the other, and then we'll go in. You know, like on shoulders. Do you know what I mean? With the glasses and the hat, and then we'll just sneak 4 of us in as 2. We'll just get 2 press passes and be like, yeah, there's just 2 of us.
Just 2 very tall people.
I feel like with my height, it's going to be a bit unnatural. So.
Amy's significantly taller than me, like significantly.
Oh, really? How tall are you 2?
I'm 5'11".
I like to say I'm 5.
No!
Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah.
Really? Are you sure?
Oh, very sure.
Are you sure?
Imagine, oh wait, no, I'm not.
How tall are you?
I have an issue because I'm not 5'3", but I'm not 5'4". So I'm like
5'3.5".
I am. I'm 5'3 3/4.
Oh, I'm gonna tower over the lot of yous. I really will.
I look up to Amy when I'm speaking to her. I'm like this, looking at it.
Whoa.
Yeah. People never realise that. I met someone.
You look like you're short. You look short. You look like to be a short person.
I'm like,
no,
Amy, stand up for reference. Like, go over. Yeah, see, like she's quite tall.
Still wouldn't have a peg to 5'11" though. Yeah,
no,
that's it.
No.
Well, to be fair, when she texted me she told me that the other week. She was like, I'm 5'11". I was like, no, you're not.
I went over 6 foot. Then I went back down again. Not sure how that happened.
That does sometimes happen, actually. I watched a weird
Life does grind you down, to be fair.
I think it must be when I was warm, I just expanded. And then when I got cold again, I dropped back
You're
down.
not a metal. You're not a metal.
Well, you never know. But no, everyone always thinks that I'm short, but I'm a giant. I am a giant.
Yeah, I would have had you down like barely 5 foot, to be honest.
Really? Wow, that would have been a great first time meeting in person, and you're just like, you're a really tall person coming towards me. Well, this has been a really enjoyable podcast. I wasn't expecting to go the way it has done, but
the Matt Beard t-shirt got me. That was me gone.
It's the forfeits. Maybe people should comment what like forfeits we could do for future reference. If you've got any ideas? Yeah, if you've got any ideas, let us know. What some really horrible forfeits could be. But yeah, thank you very much for joining us today. It's been great.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, I've had a great time. Thank you. Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, we'll get another one sorted soon, hopefully. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. Remember to like the video, comment, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you all next time with a new podcast.